All right, here's problem 6-2b. I'll just jump right into it. Lifetime distribution markets classic children's books. At the beginning of June, Lifetime had a beginning inventory of $1,200 with a unit cost of $3. During June, Lifetime made the following purchases of books. June 3rd, June 18th, June 29th. During June, 10,500 books were sold. Lifetime uses a periodic inventory system. All right, so determine the cost of goods available for sale, number one. So to do that, I'm just going to create a little table here that kind of highlights our purchases. So on June 1st, we had beginning inventory. And it said we had 1,000 units. No, I'm sorry, 1,200 units that we paid $3 a piece for. This shouldn't be dollars, so let me just fix this. And our total cost will equal the number of units times the unit cost. Then on June 3rd, we purchased 4,000 units at $3 a piece. June 18th, we purchased another 7,500 units at $5 a piece. And on, I don't know why that didn't work. Maybe because I can't type. Then on June 29th, we purchased another 4,000 units for $6 a piece. Our totals, total number of units purchased, or that we started with was 16,700 total units, and our total cost, $77,100. So there's our cost of goods available, right? The amount, that's all the goods we have to sell during the month, which is what we started with plus any that we acquired during the month. So that's the answer to number one. Determine the cost of goods available for sale, $77,100. All right, number two. Determine the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold under each of the assumed cost flow methods. First in, first out, last in, first out, and average cost. Prove the accuracy of the cost of goods sold under the FIFO and LIFO methods. Note for average cost, round cost per unit to 3 decimal places. Okay, so first of all, to figure out our cost of goods sold and our ending inventory, I'll start with first in, first out. And what we're going to do is, remember, with first in, first out, the assumption is that the first units we purchased are the first units we sold. Okay, so we know that we sold 10,500 units during the period, or during the month of June. So to calculate, let's go ahead and calculate our ending inventory. So in essence, we're just going to assume that whatever's left in ending inventory are the last units purchased, because we're assuming that the first units purchased are the first units sold. So what's left in inventory would be the ones that we purchased. Let's see, if we sold 10,500, that means there should be, 16,700 units were available. We sold 10,500, so there should be 6,200 units left in inventory at the end of the month. So the question is, which units are they? And we know that it will be the units from our 18 June purchase and our 29 June purchase. All 4,000 of those 29 June purchased units will still be in our inventory, plus another 2,200 of the ones purchased on 18 June. So to find our ending inventory, all we do is we take the last units and assume those are still there in ending inventory because we sold the first units or the most early acquired units first. Cost of the units purchased on 18 June is $5 a unit. The cost of the ones purchased 29 June were $6 per unit, and then we just multiply it out. 2,200 units times 5, and this is 4,000 units times 6. If you're wondering where I got this number, 6,200 units remaining in inventory, all I did is I took the total number of units available, 16,700, and subtracted the number of units sold, 10,500, and that left me with 6,200 units remaining in inventory. Then, to calculate our cost of goods sold, all we do is we take our cost of goods available for sale, which remember was 77,100. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do it all the way over here. And we subtract our ending inventory, which we just calculated as 35,000, and that will give us our cost of goods sold. So that's first in, first out. Next we'll do last in, first out. Under last in, first out, we make the opposite assumption. That is, that the units that we purchased last are the first ones that we sold, meaning the units we purchased first are the ones still sitting there in our ending inventory. So we still have 6,200 units sitting there in ending inventory, so our assumption then is that our units we already had at the beginning, all 1,200 of those at $3 a piece, plus our 3 June purchase, which is 4,000, that we paid $3 for. That right there is 5,200, so and then another 1,000 of the 18 June purchased are still sitting. We paid $5 for those. So these are the units that are still sitting there ending inventory. So in, first out, we assumed the ones that were left over after we sold our units were the last units purchased. And then in last in, first out, we assumed that the ones left over after our sales are the first units that we purchased. Now we just multiply it out. And then we get our totals. 6,200 units sitting in inventory with a value of $20,600. To find our cost of goods sold, we're going to follow the same formula. So our cost of goods available for sale, which we knew was 77,100. Our ending inventory we calculated as 20,600. Our cost of goods sold will be the cost of goods available for sale minus ending inventory. Finally, we have the average cost method. So with our average cost, what we're going to do is we're going to go back up and we're going to, so we have our total cost and we have our total number of units. So if we divide our total cost by our total number of units, that will give us an average cost per unit. So the total cost by total units or the total cost was $77,100. Total number of units was 16,700. So our average cost per unit is, let's make sure we have enough decimal points here. Tells us to go out to 3 decimals in the instructions, so it's $4.61.7 per unit. Now, to find our ending inventory, we just take number of units in ending inventory multiplied by the average cost per unit, or the number of units, remember, is 6,200 in ending inventory times the average cost of 4.617. It'll give us 28,625 rounded to the dollar. And then our cost of goods sold will be the exact same way we've done it each time. Which will be our cost of goods available for sale, $77,100, less our ending inventory of $28,625. All right, so that was the 3 there. Now that was the 3 first in, first out, last in, first out, and average cost. And then number 3 is, which cost flow method results in 1, the highest inventory amount for the balance sheet, and 2, the highest cost of goods sold for the income statement. So if we were to just compare the inventory amount on the balance sheet, so under first in, first out, our ending inventory amount is $35,000. Under last in, first out, our ending inventory amount is $20,600. And under the average, our ending inventory amount is $28,625. So in this case, it's the first in, first out method. That makes sense because we have a period of rising prices, right? It started at 3 and it's climbing up to 6. So we would expect, if we assume the last units purchased are the ones sitting in inventory, and those are the most expensive units, that first in, first out would yield us the highest inventory amount. So we would also guess that last in, first out would yield us the highest cost of goods sold. So let's take a look and see if that's true. 42,100 under first in, first out, 56,500 under last in, first out, and 48,475 under the average. You can see the average always falls between the 2 of them, and then the first in, first out and the last in, first out are always kind of on the opposite ends of it. Okay, I hope that was useful to you, and as always, let me know if I can help you in some way.